guys, what's up? I'm Brian here doing another video for you guys, and this time I'm talking about the Transformers Cinematic Universe, and it's going to be a long rant, and some of you guys are not going to like what I'm going to say, but it's my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine, but I just want to talk about this. It's also kind of old news because it relates to Transformers 6, so I'm just going to give you guys the heads up. Now, Transformers 6 was reported to be cancelled. Even though I guess Hasbro or Paramount hasn't officially said anything, I guess it is canceled. And what's my opinion on that? I kind of just don't care about Transformers 6. And Transformers 6 not being the Bumblebee movie, Transformers 6 as in being the one after Transformers The Last Knight. So, before we talk about that, I have to talk about the previous films. When the first Transformers film came out, I was pretty excited, and I enjoyed the movie because, hey, giant robot Transformers, you know, that's a lot of fun. All my favorites, Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, are on the screen, and they're fighting and whatnot, and it's just mindless action and enjoyment, or something. It's fun, basically. And, yeah, that's pretty much all it needed to be, and that's what it was. Wasn't the best film, but I still enjoyed it. I was still a kid when I saw that, and it is something kind of nostalgic to me. Then Transformers Revenge of the Fallen came out, and I actually saw that in theaters on opening weekend. And I was pretty excited for that film. Oh, the follow-up to this great film that I just love because action and whatnot. And I was kinda about the film. I know that movie isn't good, and I'm not saying I recommend it overall, but I didn't hate it because there were still Transformers, there was still action, I still loved that, but there were a lot of things that I just didn't really enjoy, like, oh, they're shooting in the desert. Woo for that! Let's see a lot of that, not any Autobots and Decepticons going head-to-head with each other for a good period of time. Nope, just shooting in the desert. Oh, what fun. And that got really old, but for the most part I enjoyed it. The crude humor was, you know, not my thing, but it was just whatever for me. I didn't really care. There's certain things in films that just don't really piss me off, so I want to give that a heads up so that you guys know where I stand. It takes a lot for me to actually get pissed off. I can kind of ignore a stupid joke from a film if I enjoy something from it. Anyways, then Dark of the Moon came out, and they changed out Megan Fox for some other chick that nobody... I'm sorry, nobody really remembers. Yeah, I enjoyed that a little bit more than Revenge of the Fallen. I thought it was a little slow at times, especially with that tower scene with the driller. Because he kind of knew what was going to happen, especially when the trailers, you know, pinpoint exactly what's going to happen up until the final moment when Optimus Prime takes out the driller. But, yeah, other than that, and a lot of scenes where the Autobots and Decepticons are kind of sidelined by the humans, because you got this whole group of Autobots with the Wreckers and Optimus and Q and Dino and Ratchet and Bumblebee. They're just off to somewhere else, and you're watching the humans run around and do whatever. Oh, that's what I want to see in the Transformers film. I could go on and on about my criticisms with the film, but I'm trying to get this video in a progressive thing, I guess. But I did say it was going to be ranty, so anyways. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Dark of the Moon. I thought, plot-wise, it was the best one so far. So, with that out of the way, Age of Extinction. So, Michael Bay said that Dark of the Moon was going to be the last film, but it turned out no, he wanted to do Age of Extinction. Which I know people are going to say, oh, he wanted to do it for the money and whatnot. I'm not going to specifically say that. Maybe he just didn't want Dark of the Moon to be the last one, and maybe he wanted to step up from that, or he just wanted to do another one. I don't know. I don't know the guy, so I can't specifically say. I'm just some guy watching the Transformers films. So whatever, I'm going to exclude that completely from the argument. And, I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just going to personally exclude that from the argument. But, Age of Extinction came out, and some of the things I liked, some of the things I didn't like. I thought it was way too long. I thought that, actually, the beginning and the outro of the film was my least favorite parts, because the intro doesn't have the transforming logo, which I really loved, and then the outro just kind of seemed like a rip-off of Superman going up into space, but that's more of a personal thing. But still, it just felt a little too long. It still had the Michael Bay-isms, and I'm starting to notice that growing up. Like, I'm starting to kind of get bothered by it, but I'm still not that mad because I'm still getting Transformers in this film. And I thought that Age of Extinction kind of stepped it up because I felt like I got a little bit more Transformers in this. You know, there's still characters that get sidelined, but I kind of grew with Optimus Prime and understood him more. Despite the constant argument of Optimus Prime is too violent for this film. Okay, you know, you can argue that all you want, but at least you got more time with Optimus Prime. I will say that. I will give them credit for that. Yeah, I like the Dinobot charge, but there were still some things that kind of threw me off. And this was the film that got a whole new cast. Now, after Dark of the Moon, I started to notice that I rewatched the films less and less. I know I'm going back and forth with these films, but with Dark of the Moon, I started to notice that I watched that film less and less. In fact, Dark of the Moon, despite probably being the best one, is my least memorable film out of the franchise. I don't know why. With that out of the way, it's just weird because I started to, I guess, grow up and felt like these films aren't just doing it for me anymore. But I still enjoyed something from the films. So, for the part of me that just didn't like what was going on, and thought, okay, this is starting to dry up, I kind of made excuses for the films. Like, with Dark of the Moon, I made the excuse that, okay, Megan Fox isn't in this, maybe it'll be better. And it was okay. I mean, it was better than Revenge of the Fallen, but it wasn't really better than the first film. Or it was, maybe, I don't know, I haven't really focused too much on my situation with the Transformers films and what their status is on which one's the best and which one's the worst. I guess there's some things that I don't like in Dark of the Moon compared to the first film, and then there's some things I like more compared to the first film, so, you know, take that or leave it, I guess. But anyways, with that confusing thing that just happened, I don't know, I kind of made that excuse, and when Age of Extinction was coming out, I kind of made the excuse that, okay, well, maybe this film will be better because it's got a whole new cast, you know, it doesn't have Shia LaBeouf, and then Crosshairs is in that, and a whole new cast of Autobots and whatnot. Maybe this will be 10 times better, and it was just kind of half and half. So, with The Last Night, I kind of made the excuse that, well, maybe this will be better because apparently they got new writers. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this will be good because some of the things I don't like with Age of Extinction was kind of the writing in it. I just thought it was kind of a mess. Yeah, you kind of notice I'm criticizing, but also applauding the films. It seems like I'm kind of seesawing with the films. With a lot of them, I don't hate them, and I don't really absolutely love them, or I don't think of them as great films. Anyways, with The Last Night, I gave the excuse that, well, it's got new writers, maybe this will be better, maybe this will be the best film, maybe this will be considered a good film. And there's some things that I started to think, oh, this might be good, like, I like Cogman, so far, and, the film came out, and I thought it was the worst of the franchise. Not only is it just not that enjoyable, but some of the stuff in that is embarrassing. The film is completely cluttered with crap on crap on crap that it keeps forgetting about. Take, for example, most of the Decepticons. It doesn't really give a shit about them. They're just here to be Decepticons. Oh, and don't give me the excuse that, well, they did the whole Suicide Squad scene, so obviously they care about the Decepticons. Yeah, most of those Decepticons were killed out in like a minute and a half of how long they've had in the film. How much time they've had in the film. So, they didn't really do much. And then with Megatron, they just dropped his ass. With Nitro, oh, you got something kind of cool, but then you just forgot about him. And then there's also the whole thing with Izzy that was dumped on. That just feels like they just added it to get that, you know, the female warrior type audience, and to be like, yeah, we're feminists now, and go women, and forget how sexist we've been towards women in the previous films. Now we have this, and it's great, and whatnot, and they just kind of dump it. It's like, it's just there to be there. That's pretty much what I can say about the film for a lot of the stuff. It's there to be there. And that's it. A lot of the stuff doesn't progress. A lot of the stuff just gets forgotten. It goes from point A to point B. That's it. And some of the characters talk in exposition. Take, for example, Quintessa. More of a plot device than the Allspark itself from the first film. Because all she talks in is exposition. And that's it. And it's brief exposition. I keep thinking to myself, Quintessa, I would like a little bit more knowledge and know-how about Unicron and whatnot. And she just doesn't explain it. The film kind of expects you to understand it. I guess it's because, oh, Prime kind of did the same plot, so maybe the audience kind of knows what's going on. But not everyone that's watched The Last Knight has seen Transformers Prime, so they're confused as hell. And the fact that this is a different universe makes me confused as hell, and I follow up with Transformers. Not to mention the whole Nemesis Prime thing that just kind of went nowhere. It was a thing for promotion, and that was it, because Civil War and Avengers have all these people fighting against each other. Thor Ragnarok, Hulk versus Thor. You gotta have your heroes step up and go against each other and go evil. Fate of the Furious, the Vin Diesel character, I can't remember his name. He's gotta go up against this crew and all that. That's what people are talking about. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much the only reason why you had Nemesis Prime, was because that was a popular trend with Transformers films. It is a cluttered mess. There's even a scene where the Ospreys are flying in, and I can't for the life of me tell what the hell they're shooting at, because you had these Decepticon ships that were kind of just nowhere, off screen or just far away, and then you also had two other Decepticon-like ships that the Autobots took over and started flying. So you're like, who the hell are you shooting? I don't know. I said I was going to go on a rant. The basic point that I'm trying to get at is The Last Knight really didn't do so well. Especially in the box office, it was the worst in the box office. So what's the point that I'm trying to make with The Last Knight? This film had 4 other movies to learn from with their mistakes. And even some of the good stuff from those films. I will admit there's some good stuff from the films, or at least stuff that I enjoy from the films. But it didn't take from any of that, or at least most of that. It was just a dull mess that dried up. It completely dried up the franchise. And that's how I gotta explain Transformers as a whole with this movie franchise, is it's just dry. It's not exciting for me anymore. Now, if you disagree, that's fine. To me personally, it's dry. It doesn't excite me anymore. The Last Knight was a complete mess. Alright? And even then, oddly enough, I still catch myself watching it for a certain scene in the film, and I don't know why. It's so weird for me. I guess it's because I really like Transformers, or maybe there's some things in the Last Knight that they actually did do right, like Cogman, I still enjoy. The fight with Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, that's fine. And hell, I will admit, the last 5 minutes just throw shit on the wall, and you know what, I'm having a little fun with that. But for the most part, I just complain, because there's so much that the film just doesn't do right. And here's my follow-up. That movie had 4 other films from the past 10 years to learn from. And it didn't. So do I really want a 6th film that's going to continue and not learn from the mistakes and be the exact same. Even if you like the Transformers films, do you think that it's really fair that it goes on for this long? You know? Despite how you feel about the Transformers franchise, and if you enjoy it, you at least had those 10 years of the Transformers Cinematic Universe. You had a whole bunch of toys, comics, whatever. And then you have half of the Transformers fan base who just kind of gets set aside in the dark. It's kind of not fair for them, if you think about it. And also, don't give me the crap about, oh, it was the critics that ruined this franchise. You know what? The previous films did fine with the critics bashing it. Revenge of the Fallen did fine. You know? Age of Extinction was criticized to hell. It did fine. So, what's different about The Last Night? I'll tell you what's different about The Last Night. The Last Night ran dry and people started to notice it. Because even if you liked the film, it was just the same. It was more of the same. And if you disagree with me on that, that's fine. If you enjoy the movie for other reasons, that's fine. But I'm talking about a lot of other people just felt like it ran dry. It was just nothing. So that's why I don't want another Transformers film like this directed by Michael Bay. It needs a reboot. First of all, the Transformers films aren't Transformers films. They should be called Humans Respond to Transformers films. Because that's what we mostly see out of these films. You get a little bit of action with the Transformers films, but it's mostly about how the humans respond to the chaos and mess. Second, the humans and Transformers shouldn't be as mixed as they are in these films. With Transformers The Last Night, you had all this history and whatnot, where the Transformers are just mixed in with history, and it's like, why can't we just have Transformers? You know, they can affect the humans. I'm not saying don't have any humans, but what I am saying is, it should be focused on the Transformers. So I think that this film franchise needs to get a reboot. If you disagree with me on that, that's fine. I am still excited for Travis Knight's version of the Bumblebee movie because of two reasons. One, it seems to be more character focused. Two, it's going to be Travis Knight directing it. And I'm pretty excited for that because I do like Kubo and the Two Strings. And I believe Paranorman, I could be wrong about that, I believe he did stuff with that. So anyways, with that said, again, if you like the film franchise, that's fine. I just don't think it's fair that it's ran for this long, that it's drying up, and I really don't care about the end credit scene with Quintessa on The Last Night. I really don't give a shit about it. Honestly, I really don't care what they do. I just ignore it completely. But that's more of a personal thing. If you disagree, that's fine. I just don't care what they do with it. This franchise needs to be rebooted, and I'm not the only one who agrees with me on that. And if you want to say, oh, it's your fault, or it's the critics' fault that the Transformers film has died, you know what? You're just pretty much making excuses for yourself. Maybe the Transformers films aren't that good. And if you like them, that's fine. But maybe they're just, you know, people are just finding themselves not enjoying the films anymore. You know, you aren't the only one in the world who feels the same. Or who feels different, or whatever, I guess. Anyways, that's my rant. I just wanted to talk about that. That's pretty much it. I thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry that I keep going back and forth with Dark of the Moon and whatnot. I didn't really plan this out too well. I'm sorry for that. But with that out of the way, I thank you guys for watching. I'll